Welcome to the Python programming language video tutorials by Shine India Pvt Limited. I am your Posubabu Sir, technical quant logical reasoning trainer. In this presentation, I would like to discuss nested loops. Without wasting our time, so let us start and discuss about nested loops. Now let me write it here, the nested loops. Nested loop. So what is nested loop? It refers to a loop within a loop. So we can call it as nested loops. So nested loops refers to a loop within a loop. We can call it as nested loops. Now let us discuss the syntax for this nested loops. So let me write it here, the syntax. So first we have to write outer loop. So inside you have to write inner loop. Now this inner loop is there inside the outer loop, right? Now we have here a block of statements, a block of statements. So when the condition at outer loop is satisfied or true, we will be enter into the inner loop. So if inner loop condition is true, so this block of code will be executed. This block of code will be executed. Block of code will be executed. Now, again, it will move back to the inner loop header and checks the condition, and it recursively executes this block of code. When the condition is false at the inner loop, it will be coming out of the loop. And then if we have any statements for this outer loop, so those statements will be executed. So this is what the syntax for nested loops. Now we have nested while, and then nested for. So nested while means what? So a while loop, within a while loop, we can call it as nested while. So what is nested for refers? So it refers to a for loop. Within a for loop, we can call it as nested for, right? Now let us discuss one sample program so that you could understand clearly. Now let me erase all these things. Now here you just try to observe. So we have taken two lists. We have taken two lists, list number 1 and list number 2, right? So using these two lists, so we should get the output as this way. So this is what the output. So expected output. I wish to get the output as like this. So to execute this one, I'm going to use nested for loop. Nested for loop, we are going to use it in order to get the expected output as like this, right? Now, let me write here. So suppose if I have taken the approach I'm writing here, so list 1. So list 1 consists of two items. One is Rajesh and second one is Rani. So these are the two items we have in list 1. In list 2, we have again two items. So pen is there and pencil is there, right? Now, let me write, so one for loop. So outer for loop I'm writing, right? So for I in L1. So what does it mean? So which means this outer loop access all the elements or items which are there in the list 1, which means L1, right? So in the first iteration, I value will be Rajesh. So let me write it here. When I value is Rajesh, so we can access the elements from the list 2, right? So for that, I'm writing inner for loop. So for this, I'm writing inner for loop for j in L2, right? Now, if you observe here, Rajesh with pen, we are getting. Rajesh with pencil, we are getting. In the same way, Rani with pen, we are getting, and Rani with pencil, we are getting, right? So for that, what I'm going to take? So I value is pointing what? Rajesh. So in the first iteration of outer for loop, when I value is Rajesh, now we are running inner for loop. So for j in L2, right? So now what I wish to print? I wish to print ij values. So what is the j value in the first iteration? So when j value in the first iteration is pen, right? Now let us see. I'm writing here print statement, print of. So what we have to print? Rajesh and pen, right? In the first line. So for that I'm writing, so Rajesh has been stored in I. So pen has been stored in variable j. For that I'm writing I comma j, right? I hope the idea is clear to everybody, right? Now let me explain in detail these three lines of code. Now outer for loop, so I value we are taking in the first iteration as Rajesh. So which means using this outer loop, we can access each element in the list one. So we have only two elements. The first element Rajesh have taken. When I value Rajesh, we will be entering into the inner for loop. So at the inner for loop, so we have two values for j. So in the first iteration, j value is pen, right? Because we are taking uh, items or elements from list 2. So here the list 2 is there. So what is the j value over here? Pen. So when j value is pen, now we have to print ij. So now let us print ij, right? So what you will be getting? You will be getting Rajesh and space pen. Why we have space here? So when you are using comma operator at the print statement, so you will be getting space between these two values. So between I and j, so we are getting space. So this will be the output after execution of the iteration, right? Now, again, control will go back to the top of the loop of inner, right? So inner loop. So top of the inner loop. Now we have one more j value. What is the next j value? So next j value is pencil. Next j value is pencil, right? So I value remains same. So when I is Rajesh, so we have executed j for one time. So means inner for loop we have executed one time, which means when j is pen we have executed, we got this output, right? So now we have one more value for j, that is what? Pencil. So when j value pencil, again I have to print this ij. So in this case, what I will be getting the output Rajesh remains same. And instead of j, what we are getting? So j is pointing pencil, right? So we are getting pencil. So I hope everybody is clear. So after completely executing the inner for loop, so we will be getting these two, right? Now, controls, is there any other values for j here? So we have only two values in list 2. So though those items are over. So now since we don't have any values for j, now control will be go back to the main loop or outer loop. Now we have one more value for I. So what is the value for I? So I equal to, now in this case, Rani. When I value is Rani, now we have to execute the inner for loop. So inner for loop for j in what? List 2. So what is the first j value? Pen. Now again j value pen. When j value is pen. When j value is pen, what I have to do? I need to print I comma j. So in this case, you will be getting output as, so Rani space pen, right? So I hope the idea is clear. Now again, it will be move back to the inner for loop head. So now what is the next j value? Next j value is pencil. When next j value is pencil, so we can print ij again, right? Again, Rani remains same. There is no change in the I, but the j value will be changed. In this case, j value is pencil, right? So now what will happen? We are getting Rani pen and Rani pencil as our outputs, right? Now let me execute it, and then So we will see how to get in this pattern. So which means hyphen we have to get between I and j, right? So first let me execute this code in my IDE. So let us write list one. So which is equal to, I am writing here Rajesh, and then so I am writing here Rani. So and list two, which is equal to, I am writing pen, pencil, right? Now click enter. Now I am writing here. So one outer loop for I in L1, I in L1. So using this outer for loop, we can access each element in the list one. So in first iteration, I value is Rajesh. In second iteration, I value is Rani. Right now, I'm going to write so inner for loop for j in L2, for j in L2. So using this inner for loop, we can access each element in L2, right? Now, what I'm going to print here is print I comma j, right? Now, what is happening here? First time, I value is equal to what? Rajesh. So when I equal to Rajesh, this inner loop will be executed. So how many times this inner loop will be executed based on the elements which are there in L2. So since L2 have two elements, so inner for loop will be executed two times, right? So when j equal to pen, it will be executed, and j equal to pencil, it will be executed, right? So it will be executed two times. When j equal to pen, it will be executed, and j equal to pencil, it will be executed, right? So in the next iteration, so we don't have any other iterations for j. So only j consists of two values. When j equal to pen, this statement will be executed. When j equal to pencil, again print ij will be executed. So since we don't have any other elements for the inner for loop, so control will go back to the uh, outer loop and changes I value. So in the next time, so I will be what? In the next time, I will be Rani, right? So when I value is Rani, again inner for loop will be executed. So how many times this inner for loop will be executed? So two times, because list two consists of two elements, right? So and then, so when j equal to pen, it will be executed, and j equal to pencil, it will be executed. So when j equal to pen, so print ij will be printed. So when j equal to pencil, print ij will be, so ij will be printed on the screen. Now you could see the output. So Rajesh pen, Rajesh pencil, Rani pen, Rani pencil. Why we have the space over here? So because we are using comma operator between the variables. So when we are using comma operator in the print statement between the variables, we will be getting by default space as a separator, right? So I hope the idea is clear. Since we have to get what actually, so we have to get hyphen between these two variables. So for that, I'm using sep parameter or sep argument, right? So place quotation, and then in this quotation, separate with a hyphen. Now let us execute it. So you will be getting the same output as I have mentioned here, right? So I hope everybody is clear with this program, right? Now let me increase the names over here. So let me add, so one more name, Ramu. So add one more article. So I'm adding over here eraser and execute it. So you could see, so these are the different combinations we are getting, right? I hope everybody is clear, right? So if you clearly understood my videos, so please like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thanks for watching.